The great hall of the Virian palace was silent. Hundreds of alien eyes watched the young princess as she stepped forward, her thin legs trembling under the weight of tradition. Princess Lyra was unlike her people. She was born blind, her pale silver, eyes never seeing the light of her own world. Her limbs were weak, her body fragile compared to the strong warriors of her race. Today was the bonding ceremony, a sacred event where a chosen partner would merge their soul with hers, ensuring the royal bloodline's survival and the strength of the empire. But no one moved. One by one, the strongest warriors stepped back. Their faces were cold, their voices sharp. "She is cursed," one hissed. "She cannot lead," another spat. "If we bond with her, we will bring ruin to our people," a third voice said. Lyra stood still, her hands shaking. She could not see their faces, but she could feel the weight of their rejection pressing on her chest like a mountain. At the edge of the hall, a lone human soldier stood quietly. His name was Ethan Cross, a guest from the Terran Alliance. He had been invited to witness the traditions of their allies. He had seen wars, death, and betrayal, but he had never seen cruelty like this. The high priest raised his voice. "If no one chooses her, the bond will fail, and the curse will spread through the royal bloodline." His words echoed like thunder. Lyra bit her lip. Her heart screamed for someone, anyone, to see her as more than her broken body. She whispered to herself, "Please, someone." The crowd turned to leave, the ceremony collapsing into shame, when a voice cut through the silence like a blade. "I'll bond with her." Every head turned. The aliens froze, staring at the source of the voice. It came from the human. Ethan stepped forward, his boots clicking against the marble floor, his eyes locked on the fragile princess standing alone at the center. "I'll bond with her," he said again, his voice steady. The council erupted into chaos. "A human?" One shouted. "This is a sacred ritual, not a Terran experiment." Another barked. "You insult our bloodline." A third roared, but Ethan didn't look at them. He only looked at her. Lyra's lips trembled. Why would you?" Her voice was so soft it almost disappeared in the noise. Ethan knelt before her, lowering his head so she could hear him clearly. "Because you deserve to be chosen," he said, his words simple, but they hit her heart like a storm. The high priest tried to intervene. "This is forbidden. No human has ever bonded with our kind." Ethan stood tall, his hand reaching out to Lyra. "Then I'll be the first," he said. "No one should stand alone on a day like this." Lyra hesitated, her fingers trembling as they touched his hand. The moment their skin met, a sudden warmth spread through the hall. The air shimmered with golden light. The sacred bond mark burned onto their skin, glowing brighter than any in recorded history. Gasps filled the room. The council's anger turned into fear. The high priest stumbled back, his voice breaking. "The prophecy. It's real." Lyra's knees weakened, and she almost fell. But Ethan held her steady. For the first time in her life, someone's touch did not feel like pity. It felt like strength. "What prophecy?" Ethan demanded, his eyes narrowing at the priest. The old alien's voice trembled. "The broken one and the outsider will awaken the core of stars." Lyra's heart pounded in her chest. She did not understand the words, but she understood one thing. Her life had just changed forever. The council began shouting, warriors moving closer to separate them. But Ethan pulled Lyra gently behind him, his stance like steel. "She's mine now," he said, his voice cold as iron. Lyra clung to his arm, blind eyes wet with tears. "Why are you doing this?" She whispered again. Ethan looked at her, and for the first time she felt seen. "Because you were worth choosing," he said, and in that moment, in the center of the great hall filled with hate and fear, a human soldier and a broken alien princess stood side by side, unknowingly setting the galaxy on a path it could never turn back from. The hall still glowed faintly from the bond mark, a soft golden light pulsing between Ethan and Lyra like a heartbeat. The silence that followed was heavier than any shout. The council stood frozen, their faces a mix of fear and rage. Warriors gripped their weapons but did not move. The high priest stared as if he had seen the end of worlds. Ethan kept his hand on Lyra's trembling fingers. His voice broke the silence, calm but sharp as steel. "It's done," he said. "She's not alone anymore." Lyra's heart raced. Her whole life she had been a shadow, a secret everyone whispered about, a burden no one wanted to carry. Now this human, a stranger, had stepped into the fire without hesitation. Her voice was weak as she asked, "Why? Why would you bond with me? You don't even know me." Ethan looked down at her, his expression gentle but firm. "I don't need to know you to see what they can't," he said. "You're worth something." Gasps echoed in the hall. His words were simple, but to the Vareans they sounded like rebellion. The high priest's voice cracked as he spoke. "This cannot be allowed. A human bonding with royal blood is forbidden. The bond must be broken now before it spreads." Ethan's jaw tightened. He pulled Lyra slightly behind him, shielding her small frame with his own. "Try it," he said, his voice low, "and you'll find out how far a human will go to protect what's his." The council erupted into shouts. But beneath the chaos, Lyra's mind swirled with something else. For the first time in her life, someone stood for her. Not because of duty, not because of pity, but because they chose her. Suddenly, the golden mark between their hands flared. A shockwave rippled through the hall, throwing warriors to the ground. A voice not from any mouth echoed in every mind. "The broken one and the outsider have bonded. The core of stars stirs," Lyra gasped, clutching Ethan's hand tighter. "What? What is happening to me?" The high priest's face turned pale. "The prophecy is true. The core has awakened." Ethan glanced between them. "Someone explain now." The old priest's voice trembled. "Long ago, it was written that a princess born broken, unable to see, unable to walk strong, would one day meet an outsider. Together, they would awaken a power that could save or destroy the galaxy. The core of stars, the heart of all life." Lyra's lips parted in shock. "Me? No, I'm not. I'm nothing." Ethan knelt beside her, gripping her shoulders firmly. "Don't say that. Not ever again." His voice was steady, unshaken. "You're not nothing, princess. You're the reason I stepped forward. Don't you get that?" Her blind eyes glistened, her chest tightening as tears slipped down her pale cheeks. No one had ever spoken to her like that. No one had ever made her feel real. Suddenly, guards moved in, their weapons humming. "Take the human. Contain the princess," one of them shouted. Ethan's training kicked in. He moved fast, pulling Lyra against him. His eyes darted for an exit. But the massive doors were already sealing. Lyra's voice shook. "They will kill you for this." Ethan smirked slightly, his voice calm despite the danger. "Wouldn't be the first time someone tried." A loud voice cut through the chaos. Deeper, colder than the rest, an elder council member stepped forward, his cloak dragging across the floor. "Human, you do not understand what you've done," he said. "She is not just a princess, she is the key, and now so are you." Ethan tightened his hold on Lyra. "Then they'll have to go through me to get to her." The elder's eyes narrowed. "You think this is love? This is no romance, Terran. You have bound yourself to a weapon." Lyra's breath hitched. "A weapon?" The elder's voice was sharp. "Your body was made weak to contain the core's energy. Your blindness shields you from seeing what it really is. If it is unleashed without control, it will burn entire worlds to ash." Lyra staggered back, shaking her head. "No, I never wanted this. I just wanted someone to see me." Ethan placed his hand on her cheek, guiding her to face his voice. "Look at me," he said softly. "I see you, not a weapon, not a curse, just you." Her breath trembled as his words wrapped around her heart. Suddenly, the golden bond mark pulsed again. Brighter than before, the council covered their eyes as the light surged. Ethan turned to them, his voice like fire. "You can call her a curse, a weapon, whatever you want." he said. "But to me, she's a person, and I'm not letting any of you take that away." Before they could react, a rumble shook the palace. The floor beneath them cracked as if something deep below had awakened. The elder's eyes widened in terror. "The core. It's waking." Ethan grabbed Lyra's hand firmly. "Then we're leaving," he said. Lyra's weak legs trembled as he lifted her into his arms without hesitation. Her face pressed against his chest, hearing the steady beat of his human heart. It was the first sound that made her feel safe. As they fled the hall, the council shouting behind them, the golden light trailed like a comet, marking the beginning of a story that would change the galaxy forever. Lyra whispered against his chest, her voice small but steady. "Ethan, you really chose me." He looked down at her, his voice soft. "Yeah," he said, "and I'm not letting go." The stolen Virian shuttle cut through the endless black of space, its engines humming softly like a heartbeat in the void. Inside, the golden glow of the bond mark still flickered faintly between Ethan and Lyra's hands, their connection felt alive, as if something far greater than either of them was breathing through it. Lyra sat quietly, her fingers clutching the edge of the seat. She had never been outside the palace walls, never touched the stars she could not see. Now she was running blind and scared, with a human who had turned her entire life upside down in a single moment. Ethan glanced at her from the pilot's chair. His voice was calm, steady, the voice of a soldier who had seen chaos before. "You holding up, princess?" Her lips parted, unsure of how to answer. I don't know what's happening to me." He gave a small smile. "Join the club." Lyra's fingers brushed the bond mark. When we touched, I felt something, like a door opened inside me. Her voice trembled. "And it scared me." Ethan leaned back, meeting her blind gaze. "Whatever it is, you're not facing it alone." Before she could reply, the ship's console beeped violently. A warning flashed across the screen in alien symbols. The Virian language was foreign to Ethan, but the tone was universal. "Someone's on our tail," he muttered, flipping the ship into manual control. Lyra gripped her seat. "Who?" Ethan's jaw tightened. "Doesn't matter, they're coming in fast." Suddenly, a deep vibration echoed through the cabin. Lyra gasped and clutched her chest. The bond mark between them flared brighter, spilling golden light across the small shuttle. Ethan turned to her sharply. "Lyra, what's happening?" Her voice broke as she cried. "I can feel it. Something inside me, waking up." The air thickened, humming with energy. The ship's lights flickered as if reacting to her heartbeat. And then it happened. For the first time in her life, Lyra saw not with her eyes, but with something deeper. A wave of colors, shapes, and energy patterns exploded in her mind. The stars outside were not just stars. They were threads of light, all connected, flowing into a massive unseen heart beating at the center of the universe. Tears ran down her pale cheeks as she whispered, I can see." Ethan's breath caught. He reached for her hand, grounding her as the energy surged. "Stay with me, Lyra. Stay here right now." Her voice shook. "The core. I can hear it calling." Suddenly, a harsh voice cut through the ship's comm system, deep and commanding. "Return the princess at once, or the human dies." A massive shadow passed over the shuttle as a war cruiser locked onto them. Virian royal guards, sent to capture their runaway bond. Ethan gritted his teeth, muttering under his breath, "Of course it wouldn't be easy." Lyra trembled, her hands gripping his arm. "They'll kill you. They'll take me back." Ethan turned to her, his voice steady. "Not happening." The ship shook violently as a tractor beam latched onto them, pulling them toward the war cruiser. Suddenly, the golden light surged again, brighter than ever. The bond mark burned like fire, and Lyra's voice cried out, "Ethan, I can't control it." Her body shook as if something inside was breaking free. The shuttle systems screamed in overload. Sparks rained from the console. Ethan wrapped his arms around her, holding her tight. "Listen to me, princess. You're not a weapon. You hear me. You're not a curse. You're just Lyra." Her blind eyes glowed faintly with golden light as she gasped. "But they said I was made to hold this power." His voice cut through her fear like steel. "Then we'll hold it together." And in that moment, something clicked inside the bond. The energy that had been wild and chaotic suddenly shifted, flowing between them like water, balanced and calm. The ship stopped shaking, the golden light forming a soft shield around them. On the war cruiser, alarms blared, the tractor beam shattered like glass against the strange energy surrounding the small shuttle inside. Lyra collapsed against Ethan's chest, her breathing heavy. What did we just do?" He held her close, his voice quiet but sure. "Something they'll never forget." A new voice spoke, not from the come, not from the ship, but inside both their minds, ancient and vast. "The broken one and the outsider have touched the core," Ethan's grip on her tightened. "What the hell is the core?" Lyra's voice was soft, shaking with awe. "It's everything." For a moment, there was silence. The stars outside seemed to pulse with life, as if the galaxy itself was holding its breath. Ethan looked down at her, brushing a tear from her cheek. "Whatever this core is, they're not taking you back, Princess, you hear me? Not now, not ever." Lyra's hand tightened around his shirt. Her voice was barely a whisper. "Ethan, you chose me." Even knowing this, he gave a small smile, leaning his forehead against hers. "Yeah," he said softly, "and I'd choose you again." Asterisk. The stolen shuttle drifted in the dark void, silent except for the soft hum of its wounded engines. The golden light around Ethan and Lyra had faded to a faint glow. Like embers after a storm, Ethan kept one hand on the controls and the other holding Lyra's trembling fingers. Her breathing was shallow, her blind eyes still glowing, faintly as if the core's energy had not fully settled inside her. "You with me, Princess?" he asked gently, his voice steady but low. She swallowed hard, her lips trembling. I can still feel it, like the stars are whispering to me." He gave a small smirk, trying to calm her. "Well, let's hope they're whispering good things." But behind his calm tone, Ethan's mind raced. They were being hunted. The Virian warcruiser had lost them for now, but it wouldn't last, and worse. Whatever this core of stars was, it had woken inside a fragile girl who had never even walked beyond her palace walls. Lyra's voice broke the silence, soft but filled with fear. "Ethan, you should let me go." His head snapped toward her, his jaw tightening. "Not happening." She shook her head, tears slipping down her cheeks. "You don't understand." They were right. "I'm dangerous. If this power breaks free, I'll kill everything around me." He reached over, gently placing his hand on her face so she could turn toward his voice. His thumb brushed a tear away. "Listen to me, Lyra. You're not dangerous. You're scared, you're hurting, but you're not alone anymore. We'll figure this out, together." Her chest tightened at his words. For so long she had been treated like a curse, a burden, a duty no one wanted, but this human's voice held no pity, only strength. Suddenly, a harsh beep cut through the cabin. Ethan's eyes shot to the scanner. "Damn it, they found us." Lyra tensed, her small hands gripping the seat. "How many?" Ethan's jaw clenched. "2 cruisers, and they're closing fast." He slammed the controls, sending the shuttle diving into a field of shattered asteroids. The ship shook violently as they weaved through the massive rocks. The stars disappeared behind walls of spinning stone and debris. Lyra cried out, "We can't escape them." Ethan's eyes burned with determination. "Watch me." The war cruisers fired, beams of searing energy cutting through the dark. The shuttle spun and dove, scraping past jagged asteroid edges. Sparks flew across the console. Alarms screaming. Lyra covered her ears, trembling. "Ethan." "I'm scared." He reached back, grabbing her hand even as he piloted through chaos. His voice stayed calm, firm. "Good, that means you're alive. And as long as we're alive, we fight." Suddenly, the bond mark between their hands flared again, Energy surged through the shuttle, the same golden light wrapping around the hull like a shield. The next blast from the cruisers hit them and shattered harmlessly against the glowing barrier. Ethan blinked. Okay. That was new, Lyra's voice trembled. It wasn't me. It was us. The asteroids cleared, revealing open space ahead. Ethan gunned the engines, breaking free of the field. But the cruisers were still behind them, relentless. Lyra clutched his arm, her blind eyes glowing faintly. Ethan. I can feel them. He shot her a quick glance. Feel who? Her voice was barely a whisper. The ships, the stars, everything. She reached out, her trembling fingers touching the console. The golden light spread from her hand into the controls, merging with the shuttle itself. Suddenly, Ethan felt it too, like their bond had stretched beyond their bodies, wrapping around the ship, connecting them to the universe itself. Princess, what are you doing? He whispered, awe. In his voice, her lips trembled. Not me. U.S. The golden light flared like a sun, and in an instant, the shuttle jumped. Not through hyperspace, not through any known engine, but through something deeper, something alive. The stars stretched and warped, then snapped back. The shuttle emerged in silent emptiness far beyond the cruiser's reach. The scanner showed nothing for hundreds of light years. Ethan sat back, stunned, his hand still holding hers tightly. We just outran them without an engine. Lyra's breathing was shaky, her voice soft. I didn't want to. I just wanted to keep us safe. And the stars listened. Ethan turned to her, a small smile breaking across his face despite the chaos. Remind me never to doubt you again, Princess. She gave a weak laugh through her tears. I'm not a princess anymore, am I? His smile softened, his thumb brushing her knuckles gently. You'll always be my princess. Her heart thudded in her chest at those words. Her whole life she had been chosen by no one, and now, this human's simple voice made her feel like the most important being in the galaxy. For a long moment, there was only silence in the cabin, the faint hum of the wounded ship and the soft glow of their bond. Finally, Lyra whispered, Ethan, if they catch, you promise me you'll run. He turned to her, his voice firm. Not a chance. She swallowed hard, tears slipping again. You don't understand. If the core breaks free inside me, it could kill you. I don't want that. Ethan leaned closer, his voice low and certain. Lyra, I didn't step forward to leave. I didn't choose you to walk away. If this core thing is real, then we face it together. You got that? Her lips trembled as she nodded slowly. Together, outside, the stars burned quietly. But somewhere deep in the galaxy, ancient forces stirred, and every world felt the faint pulse of the core awakening, and in a small, damaged shuttle carrying a human soldier and a broken alien princess, a bond stronger than destiny itself began to take shape. The shuttle drifted silently through a forgotten stretch of space, stars distant and cold like ancient watchers. Lyra sat curled on the seat, her knees drawn to her chest, her fingers tracing the faint golden mark on her hand. She could still feel the hum of energy deep inside her, like a living thing trying to break free. Ethan sat across from her, his eyes scanning the limited supplies. They had food for 3 days, power for 2, and a ship that was barely holding together. Yet his gaze kept returning to her, to the quiet trembling of her shoulders. Talk to me, Princess, he said softly. What's going on in that head of yours? Her blind eyes turned toward his voice, her lips parting slowly. When the core awakened, I saw things, not with my eyes, but with something deeper. Ethan leaned forward, his elbows resting on his knees. What did you see? Her voice was soft, filled with fear and awe. Worlds burning, stars being born and dying in a heartbeat. And me, standing in the middle of it all, holding everything together. Or tearing it apart. He reached out, gently placing his hand over hers. You're not going to tear anything apart, not while I'm with you. Lyra's fingers tightened around his. Ethan. The elder was right. I'm not broken because of an accident. I was made this way. His brow furrowed. Made? She nodded, tears slipping down her pale cheeks. The Varians feared the core. They knew if it woke inside someone strong, it would consume everything, so they sealed it in a body too weak to hold it, too fragile to survive its full power. Ethan's chest tightened. You're saying they made you weak on purpose? Her voice cracked as she whispered, I wasn't born broken, Ethan. I was made into a cage. For a moment, silence filled the shuttle, heavy and suffocating. Ethan's jaw clenched, his hand gripping hers tighter. You're not a cage, Lyra. Her lips trembled. Then what am I? A weapon they were too scared to use? A curse they locked away in a palace? I've never been anything else. He moved to her side, kneeling so she could hear the weight in his voice. His hands gently cupped her face, guiding her to him. You're not a curse. You're not a weapon. You're a person, and right now, you're the only person in this whole galaxy who matters to me. Her breath hitched, her blind eyes wet. Why do you keep saying things like that? Don't you understand? If this power breaks free, you'll die. His lips curved into a faint smile, his voice steady as steel. Then I'll die holding your hand. The words hit her harder than any prophecy, harder than any fear. She felt her chest ache in a way that was not pain but something new, something alive. Before she could speak, the ship shuddered violently. Ethan turned to the console, his soldier instincts kicking in. We've got company. Lyra's fingers gripped his sleeve, her voice trembling. The cruisers? He scanned the radar, his jaw tightening. Worse, something bigger. A shadow passed over the shuttle, blocking out the stars. A massive vessel loomed above them, black and ancient, its surface covered in strange glowing symbols that pulsed. Like a heartbeat, Ethan's eyes narrowed. That's not Virian, Lyra gasped, clutching her chest as the golden mark burned on her skin. Ethan, I know this place. He turned to her sharply. You've never left the palace. How could you? Her voice cut him off, shaking. Because it's calling me. Suddenly, a beam of soft blue light engulfed the shuttle. The ship's systems went dead instantly. Weightless silence filling the cabin. Ethan grabbed her hand, pulling her close. Stay behind me. The shuttle doors opened on their own, revealing a corridor of glowing crystal-like walls. A soft hum vibrating in the air, like the sound of a heartbeat echoing in a cave. Lyra stepped forward slowly, her weak legs trembling, yet something guided her, something inside her bones. Lyra, wait, Ethan hissed, moving beside her, his hand never leaving his weapon. Her blind eyes glowed faintly as she whispered, This is the core's cradle. I can feel it. The golden bond mark burned brighter, and the corridor responded, the crystals pulsing in time with their heartbeat. At the end of the hall, a massive chamber opened. A sphere of pure light floated at the center, spinning slowly. Threads of energy stretching out like veins into the walls. Lyra's lips parted in awe. It's alive. Ethan stared at it, his soldier's mind struggling to understand. That's the core of stars? Her voice was barely a whisper. No. That's its heart. Suddenly, a voice echoed through the chamber, not male or female, but ancient and endless. The cage has been opened. The broken one and the outsider stand. As one, Lyra fell to her knees, clutching her chest as the energy inside her surged violently. Ethan caught her, pulling her into his arms. Lyra, stay with me. Her voice trembled against him. Ethan, if it chooses me, I won't survive. My body isn't strong enough. His grip tightened, his voice a vow. Then take my strength. Take everything I am. You don't face this alone. Not now. Not ever. The golden light burst from their bond, flooding the chamber, wrapping around. Both of them like fire and water merging into one. The core pulsed once, and the galaxy held its breath. For a moment, Lyra felt no pain, no fear. Only Ethan's heartbeat against hers. And for the first time, she believed she was more than a cage. Asterisk, the core's chamber burned with golden and blue light. The hum of energy shook the walls like a living heartbeat. Ethan held Lyra tightly as her fragile body trembled in his arms. The golden mark on their hands glowed so brightly, it felt like fire under his skin. Her voice was barely a whisper, weak and breaking. "Ethan, my body, it can't hold this power. It's too much." He lowered his forehead to hers, his voice low but unshaken. "Then take mine," her breath caught. "What?" He cupped her pale face gently, his calloused thumbs brushing away the tears she couldn't stop. "Take my strength, my life if you have to. I didn't step forward to let you die here, Princess. If the core needs more than you can give, then it can take me too." Lyra shook her head, her voice panicked. "No, if you give yourself to the bond like that, you'll die." Ethan's lips curved into a faint smile. "Yeah, but you'll live." Her tears burned hot down her cheeks, her hands clutching his shirt as if she could hold him in this moment forever. "Why? Why would you do that for me?" His voice softened, each word steady and sure. "Because the second I saw you standing alone in that hall, I knew you weren't a curse, you weren't a weapon, you were someone worth saving." The core pulsed again, its voice echoing inside their minds. "The outsider offers his life to the broken one. The bond seeks balance," Lyra sobbed against him, her voice cracking. "I don't want balance if it means losing you." He pressed a kiss to her forehead, gentle and grounding. "You won't lose me, I promise, whatever happens. I'm with you." The golden light surged around them, wrapping them in a cocoon of energy. The core's power poured into their bond, testing it, stretching it. Ethan grit his teeth as pain ripped through him like fire in his veins. His body shook, but his grip on her never loosened. "Ethan," she cried, her hands cupping his face, her blind eyes glowing faintly with golden light. "Stop, please stop, it's killing you." He forced a smile through the pain, his voice rough but steady. "I told you I'd die holding your hand." Her heart screamed at those words, the bond between them flaring with something beyond power, beyond prophecy. And then something shifted. The golden light that had been wild and consuming suddenly calmed, flowing like water instead of fire. The core's hum softened, the chamber's walls glowing gently instead of burning bright. Lyra gasped as she felt it, not just energy, but something warmer, something human flowing into her. Her voice broke. "Ethan, what did you do?" He smirked weakly, sweat on his brow. "Shared my life." "Shared me? You don't have to carry this alone anymore." "Princess, not as long as I'm breathing." The core's voice echoed again, soft now, almost reverent. "The bond is complete. The broken one and the outsider are one soul." Lyra collapsed against him, sobbing into his chest. "You fool. You beautiful fool." He chuckled softly, his hand stroking her silver hair. "You're welcome, for the first time." She felt the power inside her settle, no longer a storm, no longer a curse. It pulsed in rhythm with his heartbeat, balanced, safe. Her weak limbs no longer felt so heavy, her breath came easier. And for the first time since she was born, she felt whole. She pulled back slightly, her blind eyes glowing faintly as she whispered, "Ethan, I can feel you inside me, not just your touch. Your soul." He smiled, brushing his thumb across her cheek. "Guess you're stuck with me now, Princess." Her lips curved into the smallest, trembling smile. "Good. I don't ever want to be without you." Before either of them could say more, the chamber doors slammed open. Virian guards poured in, their weapons raised. The elder councilman's voice thundered through the chamber. "Step away from the core. The bond ends now." Ethan stood, placing himself between Lyra and the guards, his body still weak but his stance unbroken. The golden light wrapped around him like armor, his voice cold as steel. "You'll have to kill me first." Lyra stepped beside him, her once trembling legs steady now. Her voice rang through the chamber, soft but filled with power. "No. You'll have to kill us both." The guards hesitated, the golden aura around them crackling like living lightning. The elder's eyes widened in horror. You You merged completely. Human and Virian. That's impossible, Ethan's lips curved into a small smirk. Guess we didn't get the memo, the core pulsed once, and the guards were thrown back as if the universe itself rejected their touch. The chamber sealed, leaving only Ethan and Lyra standing in the soft glow of the core. Lyra turned to him, her voice trembling but steady. Ethan, what happens now? He looked down at her, his hand finding hers, their bond mark glowing gently. Now, Princess. We decide what we want to be. And as the core's soft light wrapped around them like a promise, for the first time in her life, Lyra felt not broken, not cursed, but chosen. Asterisk. The core's chamber was silent now, the storm of energy gone, leaving only a soft, warm glow that wrapped around Ethan and Lyra like a living embrace. The Virian guards lay unconscious outside the sealed doors. The elder councilman gone, his threats swallowed by the core's power. Inside the chamber, it was just them, the broken one and the outsider, now one soul. Lyra's fingers trembled. As they touched the bond mark glowing faintly on Ethan's hand, her voice was soft, almost afraid to break the quiet. It feels calm. Ethan looked around at the gentle light, his soldier's eyes still wary. For now, she turned her blind gaze toward his voice. Ethan, we changed something, didn't we? He smirked faintly. Yeah, Princess, I think we broke the galaxy. Her lips curved into the smallest smile. Good. For the first time in her life, she didn't feel like a mistake, not a curse, not a cage. She felt alive, and it wasn't because of the core's power pulsing inside her. It was because of him. Suddenly, the core's voice filled the chamber. Soft but endless. One soul, two hearts. The path is yours to choose. Save or burn, build or destroy. The core follows the bond. Ethan's jaw tightened. That sounds like a lot of responsibility. Lyra's small hand squeezed his, her voice steady now. Then we choose to save. The core pulsed gently, as if answering her vow. Ethan knelt beside her, his forehead resting lightly against hers. Princess, you know they'll come after us, right? The council, the empire, maybe even the whole galaxy. Her voice was quiet but firm. Then let them. As long as you're with me, I'm not afraid. Those words hit him harder than any weapon. His arms wrapped around her, pulling her into a tight embrace. You're stuck with me now, Lyra. Her lips curved into a trembling smile. Good. Because I don't ever want to let go. The core pulsed again, and the chamber walls shifted, opening a path not back to the palace, but to the stars themselves. A vast window of shimmering energy stretched before them, showing the galaxy not as space and planets but as threads of light, all connected, all alive. Lyra gasped softly, her glowing blind eyes reflecting the view. Ethan. It's beautiful. He looked at her instead of the stars, his voice soft. Yeah, it is. For a moment, there was no fear, no prophecy, no curse. Just two souls holding each other in the heart of the universe. Suddenly, the core spoke again. The bond has chosen love over fear, creation over destruction. The galaxy will shift with your steps. Ethan chuckled under his breath. No pressure. Lyra turned her face toward him, her voice gentle. Ethan, do you regret it, choosing me? He tilted her chin up with his hand so she would hear the truth in his voice. Not for a second. Her chest tightened, tears slipping down her pale cheeks as she whispered, No one ever chose me before you. His thumb brushed her tears away, his voice steady and soft. Then they were all blind. For a moment, neither of them moved, their bond humming quietly between them like a heartbeat shared by two bodies. Finally, Ethan stood, lifting her gently into his arms. She let out a soft laugh, her hands clutching his shoulders. You don't have to carry me, he smiled. Yeah, I do. The core's chamber shifted one last time, opening a glowing path that stretched into the unknown. The hum of the energy felt less like power now and more like a blessing. Ethan glanced down at her. Ready to change the galaxy, Princess? She rested her head against his chest, her voice soft but steady. "As long as you're holding my hand." Together, they stepped into the light. The core pulsed one final time, and every star in the galaxy flickered as if bowing to a new beginning. Across worlds, people paused, feeling something they couldn't name, a heartbeat that wasn't theirs, but somehow belonged to them all. In the palace they had fled, the high priest fell to his knees, whispering in fear and awe, "The prophecy is fulfilled, but far away, in the quiet void between stars." Ethan and Lyra weren't thinking about prophecy, or power, or destiny. She tightened her arms around him, whispering softly, "You were the only one who saw me, not as a curse, but as someone worth saving." His voice was low, carrying a promise that would echo through the stars. "No, you saved me too." And as they vanished into the endless light, the galaxy shifted forever, not because of a weapon, not because of power, but because one human chose one broken princess and held her hand.